This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Skeleton Warriors 2-pack, part of the Evil Army of Skeletor. This was a troop builder set that we were introduced to back at San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago, where it was shown, some of these figures were shown in the display that they'd set up for Origins, and they looked really great. As with most of the Masters of the Universe box artwork, it's absolutely beautiful. You've got a great scene here where you see men-at-arms and a handful of Eternian Palace guards fighting against a horde of skeleton warriors. Not to be mistaken with the Horde from Hordak. See on the side one of the arms with a sword coming out. On the other side we can see the torso almost all the way out of another one. On the back we have a lovely scene of the skeletons coming out of the ground and getting ready to attack, with Skeletor at the top using his half of the power sword to pull them out. We can note here that it appears that this Skeletor is the version from the uh, Birth of Evil 2-pack that came out as a Target exclusive a few years ago with uh, Kronos and the Keldor head. Because we can see the crest over here is in that greenish glow, and the sword matches up with kind of the way that sword had like the translucent green end on it. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. The Skeleton Warriors come with their own comic book. It's interesting though that they taped it in place, because they actually have slots in here where they could have just slotted the book in place instead. But that probably was too much effort. So with this, we get the Bones Beneath mini comic. And here we are introduced to a warrior by the name of Garrick, who looks very similar to another character we saw in a previous mini comic, which I will show you. If you remember the Serpent Siege comic book that came with the 2000X version of King Randor, we're also introduced to a warrior, though his name is never given in the comic. He looks an awful lot like Garrick from the Bones Beneath comic. Garrick was a warrior who fought against Skeletor, but his village was defeated by Skeletor's undead armies, and Skeletor took his remains and brought him back to life as a warrior, giving him the name of Kadavar, and he wished for him to be the leader of his undead army. Kadavar did not wish to do so, but Skeletor used the soul of his daughter, which he had trapped in an orb, as a means to control him. And Kadavar did go ahead and try to fight back, but in the end, he lost and still remains as Skeletor's prisoner, as well as his daughter. I do wonder, though, if we will get a Garrick figure in the future if this line continues to go on. So let's get the skeletons out. The weapons that we received are the mace that came with Pighead from the Rulers of the Sun subline, the halberd from the Castle Grayskull set, and the spear also from the Grayskull set, which was included with Snake Mountain. Skeletor's shield, as we saw originally with the Battle Armor Skeletor. The sword that came with both Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain. And they gave us Ram Man's axe, which was kind of a surprise. Our skeletons come in two flavors, silver and purple. Or would that be silver and grape? They have the standard Masters of the Universe articulation, though pretty much the entire body is new. The only reused parts are the feet and the loincloth. They gave us a new skirt piece, new thighs, which are made to look like bones, and they can be pulled apart like other Masters of the Universe ones. So if you wanted to expand the look of your army using, say, the furry boots that come with many of the Masters of the Universe figures, you could as well. What I thought was really kind of cool, though, was the way the body looks. We've got this really nice amount of detail for the skeleton body. Honestly, this is what Scareglow should have been, because this just looks really cool and creepy. Kind of could have been a Monster High torso. We can also take the arms off. The hands are really tight in there, so I'm not going to attempt to take that off. But they also did a really good job of color matching, like these more solid parts where we have the connections. It's close enough to the glow-in-the-dark plastic that it doesn't really stand out too much. But that is not easy to get that back on. Let's go ahead and arm up some of our skeleton warriors here. Now arise, my skeleton warriors! Defend Snake Mountain! Another thing to note with these figures, though, is the shield here. Because the arms are as thin as they are, this part doesn't clip on, so it doesn't really like to stay in place very well. Also, if we take out a standard MOTU figure, you'll note that the skeleton warrior is just a little bit shorter. I would say that's probably because of the bone styling. The new parts are just a little bit shorter, which would make sense since, you know, it's a skeleton and should be a little bit smaller than the actual human body. What abomination have you brought to us now, Skeletor? Ah, He-Man, I have brought forth my undead army of skeletons, and they shall defeat you. Ah. Your skeletons cannot defeat me, Skeletor. I will defeat them. Boom. Ah. One thing to note with these skeleton warriors is that they are also made out of a glow-in-the-dark plastic, which a little bit harder to show on camera, but I'll do my best here. Just a trick for anybody who doesn't know already, if you take a black light, it will supercharge the glow-in-the-dark plastic on your figures, make them glow a little bit brighter, and in general will make some interesting looking bit of coloring on some of the other plastic parts. The glow-in-the-dark feature is really nice. I think it looks cool, though probably not as practical. But if you wanted to put them as an army behind Scareglow, that would probably work out pretty well too. Um, and let's just say glow-in-the-dark figures are awesome. I just wish they'd gone ahead and made maybe the weapons as glow-in-the-dark also to give them kind of that like emanating power. But then again, maybe that's the reason why they didn't, is because the bodies themselves are the ones filled with that evil power. Well, I'd like to thank you all for watching and listening, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. As always, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate anything you have to say. And as always, peace and love.